much better. So, apologies for the last video. I was very tired and cold. Tonight wasn't as tiring or cold. I think it was just as cold. I just wasn't up on top as much, so I didn't get as much as the wind. Chill factor, take notes. But, anyways, my story for today is based around singing and song. So the thing about this is, you get paid to do your work, okay? And so if you're doing your work, they aren't really going to tell you to not do anything else. That's why people do so much trash talking and swearing and just yelling in general. But another thing people do is music. So that's where the whole like whistling while you work thing came from. That's where singing while you work came from. And so at my job, I like to sing. And since I'm at a job for 10, 12 hours a day, speaking of which, it is 2:15 right now, or 2:35, I can't tell which. But yeah, I like to sing. Other people like to sing on occasion, and the later it gets, the less I care about how loud and what types of songs I'll sing. So it just gets crazy, really. Okay, yeah. So there's these two guys. Like I said earlier, there's laborers, carpenters, and iron workers. I'm a laborer, and a lot of the guys we're working with right now are carpenters. So there's these two guys that I see pretty often, Tim and Nick. And Tim is just this really loud, tall, skinny guy. He's pretty cool. He's pretty awesome. But Nick is just ridiculously awesome. This guy is crazy. So Tim is like face down on a deck, like working down there. So everybody else is standing up, and he's just laying on the ground, like doing stuff. And Nick is over there like whacking on something with a hammer or something, I don't know. And he's like, "It's the final countdown." And then you hear Tim, and Tim's like, "Shut the fuck up, man." And then Nick's like, "The final countdown." And Tim's just yelling at him. So they're going back and forth. And I'm like, I know that song. You know. And so a couple moments of silence go by. And then I go, like, when I say a couple moments, I mean about a half hour, an hour. I don't know. An amount of time passes. And then I go over to Tim, and I'm like, "Hey, Tim, do you know what countdown it is?" And he's like, What? Which one? What countdown? What? And I'm like, "It's the final countdown." And he's like, "Oh, you motherfucker!" And it was pretty funny. And so he started just yelling at me and laughing, and he was laughing, but he was also pissed off, but he knew it was a good joke, so he like passed that one off. And then like as I'm working, like an hour later, I hear him tell Nick that one. I'm like, "That was my joke." You know, whatever. Tonight specifically, same two guys, but without the other guy. No, yeah, it was the same two guys. I'm working sweeping off a deck, and then Nick is working like pretty relatively close to me, and we're just kind of chatting. And I hear him talking, and he's like, "Oodalali, oodalali, golly, what a day." I'm like, that's from Robin Hood, the animated feature film. I know that song, because I kind of try to play ukulele, and I wanted to learn to play that on the ukulele. And, I mean, I'm also lazy, so that hasn't really happened yet, but it will. And so, I'm sitting there, and then, like, so I learned the words, so I'm like, "Robin Hood, Little John walking through the forest, laughing back and forth at what the other has to say." And Nick's like, "Contemplating this and that, and now this is a grand time. Oodalali, oodalali, golly, what a day." And then Tim walks by, and he's like, "You motherfuckers, always you two, getting those songs stuck in my head." And so we're just yucking it up and like fist bumping about how we're totally owning Tim with our musical skill. And it was pretty great. And that's really about it for tonight. I mean, it was cold, and it did work. Good enough. So, also my car died on the way home, which if you haven't had that happen at 2 in the morning in a somewhat ghetto town, it's kind of scary. Yeah, anyways, I was able to get home by like holding the ignition key forward and driving it at the same time, which is probably terrible for your car, but I got home. Anyways, I'm going to go take a shower and go to sleep. I hope you have a great night. Good night, guys.